The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball NBA DFS Today podcast. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here with my partner, fellow Shark, and DFS specialist, Mr. Michael Apotria. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing pretty swell over here, Coach. I mean, I took a little burn with our chicken soup bet. The mic. I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. You know what I mean? Just peel off the Band-Aid early. He did pretty horrible. He got into foul trouble. 0 for 7. Just everything off the rails. It just continued. Hoping that would be the game where he struck it right, but it was not. So we are tied 2-2. We're gonna have to get another one by the end of this slate and this card that we go through. But I'll just give you your props now and get it out of the way.
I did have a Twitter come in saying that it was such a bad beating, it should have counted as 2 points. But we didn't have a rule that if it's like a 40-point defeat, it counts as 2. So I'm going to let you off the hook and just say we're tied 2-2. And it's back to even, and then we go from here. That's it.
You got what do you got, a burner Twitter over there? You tweeting with your burners saying it should be worth 2 points.
I'm not, I don't divulge any private information regarding Twitter.
All right. Well, yeah,
awesome
I'm coming
stuff,
back,
man. But we're as normal. It's Tuesday night. We're recording the night before and getting ready for the big fantasy draft coaches challenge, which is on Wednesdays throughout the whole season. And tomorrow's our first Wednesday card, and it's an 11-game slate. And lots of interest. We got a lot of buzz going about the Coaches Challenge, man. I think this contest is going to be really great. I know Andrew Hansen tries our Mr. Language Olympic here, plays so cool and humble as he took his second place. But I think he's got a quiet confidence. We need to nip that in the bud here pretty quick.
Yeah, he's a silent killer. He's just one of those guys that you can just tell he's very quiet with it, but he's always planning something. He's got something hidden up his sleeve. John Morant the other night, he was all over that. So the kid knows his stuff, man. That's why he sparked our interest. Right when he kind of sent Dan a little email saying he had some interest. We're like little CIA agents back here. We do our background research over here on everybody that comes in here. So we knew he knew his stuff, but we have a large slate, and I just wanted to get something off my chest. I need some backup over here as far as maybe some listeners can weigh in on the debate. But I was arguing with my girlfriend earlier tonight, and it was a serious argument that we took very serious right now. So it came down to, it was a French fry argument, Coach. And she's trying to sit here and look at me in the face and tell me that tater tots are without a doubt the best type of French fry. And I look her back, and now we're fighting because I had to say that they're in my opinion the most overrated. That I'm a good curly fry kind of guy. So I got to know where you stand, Coach. Are you a tater tot or a curly fry kind of guy?
Well, I hate to take any kind of stand against the much better half of your relationship over there, but I have to say tater tots are very low on my French fry list. I would much rather have the curly fries, the crinkle cut, the shoestring. I mean, I consider myself a fry connoisseur, and you're going to have to straighten her out on this tater tot fiasco.
I knew you'd be the right guy to ask. Yeah, no, that's what you're the connoisseur. So no, that's what I tried to tell her. I was like, listen, unless you're got a fryer, like a commercial fryer in your kitchen, you're never gonna get these things crispy all the way. They're sometimes too soggy, or then they're too burnt. Right. And the ratio is just off. Too much potato to crisp ratio. It's not my liking. I'm not gonna sit here and turn down some tater tots now, but Given the choice, I think a lot of people might side with me on this one. But I thought maybe I'm a little crazy. Maybe I'd get some other feedback. But
They are like top-ranked food for food fights, though. You got to love to drill some people with some tater tots.
yeah,
That's about it.
that and the Napoleon Dynamite, the old skit with the tater
Oh
tots
my
in the
God.
pocket. That's one of probably the first
And
things
the
that come to my mind.
and the freaking quesadillas, huh?
All right. I got to get out of the way. I'm sidetracking us though. We got 11 games, man. We got to break this down.
No worries. You can always engage me in any controversial problem there. I want to be a home a help for you at home as well, Mr. Apotria.
Listen, if we get a median in here, things might be a little bit smoother. But it is what it is. We're always going to have our little arguments over whether it's what kind of potato or that's one of our things. We always like to just break
I love it,
stones
man.
about
If
food.
if that's the worst type of arguments you have, you are in good shape, my man. No doubt about it. But anyway, let me just touch on a couple real quick things because I know with 11 game slate we got a long one, and I'd like to get done and watch a little bit of that Lakers Memphis game. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. We are sponsored by FantasyDraft, and they are also the sponsor of the Coaches Challenge, which is now up on FantasyDraft. I sent the Twitter link out there. Also, if you go on FantasyDraft.com, sign up with the promo code HoopBall, get a free week of DFS up to $1,000 in contests. You can search for the Coaches Challenge contest. That'll come up there. It's a 6-entry max, $2 an entry, and I think I'm taking the damn gloves off. So I only played 2. I'm going for the max 6. I want to sweep top 10 spots and get this language Olympic guy back in his spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that was my rookie mistake. Is I only put 1 in there. I didn't pay attention that you could multi-enter.
Yeah.
I did the assume thing, and I think everybody knows the acronym and what it stands for. And my 1 didn't get it done, but yeah, I'm gonna load that thing up listen. I'll take 6 shots at it. I want the first. That's all I want. First spot. I want the swag. I just like some free swag, man. I've won money a bunch of times. I never win free T-shirts.
I know. Well, the T-shirts are sharp. I want one of those cool hats though, so I got to start sporting that. I got the bald dome here. I need a lid. You know what I'm saying?
Sunburn.
Yes, but I'll tell you what. I've got a sweat going again tonight. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it's a good thing. If I'm not dead coming into these late games, that means something good's happening. But I loaded up with the stars and scrubs again on our fantasy draft in the $30,000 pick and roll, and my guys are playing so good in these first games. My cheap guys, and I did the old Anthony Davis LeBron double dip in the late game. So if I can keep this money train moving here, this would be beautiful.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I know. I'm actually doing pretty well. Unfortunately, Trae Young, that's going to sting a lot of people. Yeah. Good reports, I guess, on the optimistic side are coming out. X-rays are negative. They're believing it's not too serious of an ankle injury, where I'm guessing, by too serious, they mean they're probably not suspecting ligament damage necessarily.
Right.
But, MRI results are going to come back. We'll find out, I'm sure, by tomorrow at some point, and it's hope for the best. But I didn't play any of them, so that kind of did help a little bit. The only problem is I wasn't very high on John Collins, so it's not like I have a slate-breaking lineup. I'm winning money in every single one of them, but not having John Collins in too many. Actually, I think I only played 1 out of maybe about 11 or 12 lineups that actually had him, but I had a lot of Bembry. So he ended up getting a little bit of extra run. So that not breaking the slate, but he's doing well for the value. I did pretty stars and scrub too.
Yeah, and for the listeners that didn't catch any of that game, he came down and really rolled his ankle, couldn't put any weight on it. They took him to the locker room, but before we came on air, they just had given a Woj report and saying that X-rays were negative. They didn't think there was going to be any ligament or anything damaged, but like you said, they're going to do an MRI tomorrow, and they don't think it's real serious. So that's great news because Trey's terrific for the game, and I'd hate to see him out any extended period of time. But you made a good mention there. It was funny because my son is in a league, and he sent me a text right away. Who should I pick up if Trey's going to be out? Who's going to be the fantasy beneficiary or DFS beneficiary? And it looks to me like sort of Bembry might be the guy. If Trey is out for a couple of games at a super low value, so keep an eye on him in some of the Hawks' upcoming games.
Yeah, he'll be like a decent steals guy. He'd knock down like a 3 here and there. I wouldn't expect him to come in here and produce anything near like starter like quality numbers. They're going to kind of chop up the minutes, but you got to imagine he's already got a pretty sizable role off the bench, and he'd definitely be looking at least an extra 6 minutes a game, which that kind of warrants some ownership, especially in just your 12-team leagues or deeper. Yeah,
and he's almost minimum, so. All right, man. Well, just one last quick mention real quickly here. And, we're really appreciative of our sponsors that put all of this forward so that we can bring this 7-day-a-week DFS free content to the table. Again, FantasyDraft being our presenting sponsor. Also, manscaped.com. Go to their website. Promo code HoopBall, 20% discount, free delivery. Also, for any of your sports betting needs, mybookie.ag is definitely the place to go, the best online service for betting that there is out there. And our near and dear to heart friends, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company, best coffee in the business. Jump on Amazon, get that delivered. You can get it delivered with your chicken suit, and you'll be all set, Mike. All right, brother. 11-game slate. We are going to get started. Let's roll with our normal process here. And the first game is a game that's not very pretty. Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep, and you said it. It's not pretty. It's not a game that I'm going to be targeting too heavily. Really not going to be targeting anybody on the Cavs too much this season. The only one I'd really be looking at would probably be Kevin Love, but we have plenty of other forwards that we can choose to play on this kind of slate. It's 11 games where I don't think we necessarily need to go there. The price tag seems like it's about fair. It's 14.8, leaves a little bit of juice on the bone, but for really him to hit that like crushing value, he needs to get closer to like that 34, 35 minute mark, and I just don't see him doing that too often this season. Bulls, Levine, just because he always has that upside, he can smash in these kinds of matchups, but I'm not overly enticed about him.
I agree. And I love it. I mean, that we're just blowing through this first game like this. It's if it was one of those 3-game slates, we'd be picking this apart, trying to make a case for the Tristan Thompsons and Kobe Whites and all this, which is painful. But the beauty of having 22 teams to pick from is you don't have to, like you said, scratch the bottom of the bone on games like this. And, for me, Levine is points dependent. This should be a lower scoring game than most. Cleveland's 26th in pace right now, which is pretty bad, and Chicago's 13th, sort of in the middle of the pack. So I get nervous with Levine when I don't think he's going to get a lot of periphery numbers and just get scoring. Again, we've talked about it a million times, the 3-headed Bulls point guard situation, which is a nightmare. Their bigs, Wendell Carter had a fantastic game the last time out, but, I don't particularly think he's going to shine in this game. Otto Porter's still on a restriction, so that's, I just don't see anybody worth playing there. On the Cleveland side, Tristan Thompson's going to start getting some ownership. I mean, nobody was rostering him, and he just keeps throwing these big fat doubles up every game. And he could easily throw another 16 and 13 on the game or on the board in this game. And he certainly, if you're completely jammed and you're on like a fantasy draft where you can play multiple centers, he's an option. I'm going to keep him not on my roster right now, but as a plug-in if I need an extra guy, because I think he's pretty safe. His minutes are safe and his production is safe. But other than that, the guards just trying to get used to the new rotation and everything. I just don't have any interest in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good call when you talk about Thompson. His price tag is getting up there a little bit. It's kind of getting pretty, I guess you could say, accordingly. He's not like a cheap value like he was in the first opening nighter game. So,
Yeah.
but you like you said, he does have that double upside, and it's there. It's caked in. He's a double machine. One of the best offensive rebounders in the league. I don't think that it's a fantastic matchup as far as centers. If we look at the games that he's kind of exploded in, looking at the last one against Indiana, it was a double big front court, but they're going to probably try to get a little bit more of marketing at the 5 if they really want to take advantage and force Kevin Love to play center as well. That's what I'm envisioning for a good chunk of the game. And like you said, 11 games. I just like so many other centers. Big center guy, coach. You know that. I'm always all over my centers.
Oh, you definitely are stacking up the centers for sure. All right, the second 7 p.m. Eastern game is the New York Knicks and Bobby Portis. I enjoyed that so much the other night when they were chanting, and he kept burying shots. They are playing the Orlando Magic, a really weird team. They're first on my list right now for just the most bizarre team to try to figure out what the hell they're going to do. So what do you got on the Knicks Magic?
All right, so first of all, you'd have to be in Fizdale's head, and now I think he knows what he's going to do at this point. But, I guess we'll start with the Knicks because they're the more confusing side that we don't really know what's going to be going on. So Alfred Payton's already been rolled out. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. He's kind of away from the team. If he can come back in time, he's someone that I have interest in, just knowing that he'd probably be getting a good chunk of the bulk of point guard minutes. Yes, Nidaklina is there and played well, looked really good defensively in the last game. So I know he's there. I'm just kind of almost looking at this with a little bit of narrative. Coming back after something very emotional to do with his family, knowing that he's kind of been getting frustrated with this minute total. This is the opportunity. If he is going to get extra run, it's going to be in a game where Peyton's sitting. So I just think that he's an option. I'm not saying he's like a lock and load, got to play him. He's mostly strictly just like a GPP sort of play. But him and Barrett would mostly be the guys I'm really looking forward to playing on the Knicks, if anybody. And on the Magic, it's a very, very defensive-oriented team. They're the top 5 defense in the league once again this season. Yes, it's only been a few games, but it's this exact same team that was starting last year. So I'm kind of okay with just not really going anywhere. I mean, Vucevic is the one guy who we're waiting to see him hit down, knock some shots down. He's kind of been struggling offensively. Once he picks that up, we're going to see the price tag rise. So, targeting that at the exact moment and the exact right times where, he's going to start knocking down those shots and you can take advantage of the depressed salaries where we want to get to. It's just, it's hard to just take that shot on an 11-game slate, trying to capture magic in a bottle.
Yeah, and, I like I say, I've been super frustrated with Orlando thus far. They seem to each take turns having just horrible games, and then some guys will step up and have a decent game. It's it's a hard one to figure. It is a pace-up game for them. Knicks are 8th in the league in pace, but it's a pace down for the Knicks, as Orlando not only is good defensively, but they're 27th out of 30 teams in pace. So it's hard to really like anybody here, but I am going to play a guy in this game, and I'm going to explain why. I don't believe Smith is going to be back. He didn't travel with the team to Orlando, so he may come in tomorrow on his own, but I just don't see it happening. And I think Barrett is going to play 40, 44 minutes, something ludicrous like that, absorbing all the 1 and 2 minutes that he possibly can. And man, anytime you're going to give a guy 40-some minutes, and Orlando doesn't have the best defense outside the paint, so I'm gonna dial up Barrett. Anytime I can feel really comfortable, I'm gonna get monster minutes like that. I'll take him, and I think that he's the guy that's gonna get him. I don't want to pay all that money for Randall when, again, the interior defense of Orlando is so solid. But really, I'm passing on Orlando for a while, and Barrett's my only other play in this game.
Yeah, he should see a ton of minutes. Playing it simple. You're right. He's going to play a lot of point. He's going to be playing a lot of shooting guard. He's already playing a boatload of minutes as it is. And this game, I'm not expecting it to be a blowout necessarily. Yeah, I do think the Magic are going to win this game, but I think the Knicks can hang in long enough where at least Barrett's going to see some meaningful fourth quarter time.
Yeah, two stinkers though to start out for sure. The last 7 p.m. Eastern starting time, Minnesota Timberwolves and the Philadelphia 76ers. And I guess we expect Embiid to play. I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous. It's so frustrating for us DFSers. Like tonight, for example, 20 minutes before the deadline to turn in rosters, all of a sudden, an alert comes up, AD questionable game time decision with a sore shoulder. I mean, come on, man. You got to be kidding me. But he is playing from what I heard, what I just read a few minutes ago. But yeah, with him and Embiid, it's like so frustrating trying to. I mean, they're like the main build of your entire lineup, and then you just don't know if they're going to play or how much they're going to play all the time. It's frustrating.
Yes, and that is the love of playing Anthony Davis in DFS. He's always going to be high owned, and there's always the risk of him just not playing, getting hurt in the first quarter, whatever it may be. But yep, he's always going to be a top option. And Embiid has to be viewed in a very similar light. In this game, though, I mean, I would actually prefer Karl-Anthony Towns. He just looks like he is, a man playing on fire at this point. He's just knocking down his threes like at an unbelievable clip. He's just taking over. He looks like a totally different player from last year. He's not that passive-looking guy, the same guy that was playing alongside Jimmy Butler with the controversy. So I'm really loving what I'm seeing with Towns. He's going to be my top center option on the slate.
Nice.
I don't even think it's really that close, but you got to pay up for him at the end of the day. And the only other guy I'd really be looking at on the Timberwolves, I'm going to avoid the whole Andrew Wiggins hot train, knocking down shots, hitting 3-pointers thing. Kind of taking the same approach as I take with the Derrick Rose. It's not something I would do, so I'm not going to try to jump on a bandwagon that I'm expecting to kind of go down in flames pretty soon. But I think Covington is something someone we can take an eye on. I mean, this is of a little bit of a revenge narrative against the 76ers team that got rid of him for Jimmy Butler. So I think that's something that we can really view. I think this is a good matchup where they're going to need him defensively to kind of play. He makes the most sense to kind of guard Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris in that aspect. So he's going to have to play a lot. I'm expecting a lot of minutes from him. The shots and the offense is not always going to be there, but we know the defensive numbers and the rebounds are generally rock solid, and that gives them a good floor.
I'm with you. Well, I think I have already found our Chicken Suit Challenge contest here.
Oh, so tell me you want Embiid versus Towns? Is that what I'm hearing?
I want Embiid versus Towns, man. Here we go. Do you know that Embiid was 5th in a defensive real plus minus for centers last year, and KAT was 2nd to last? So let's go, man. I'm ready. If you want to dial it up, total fantasy points on our sponsor and presenting Fantasy Draft. How's that sound?
I'm game. If he sits, what happens? Do you get a backup, or do I just automatically get that win?
No. If he is ruled out, then the bet is canceled.
Oh, okay.
But if he's ruled in and he suits up, no matter if either one gets hurt after him, if they start, it's a bet. So there you go. So anyway, I like Embiid in this matchup even better. I think it's at home. He's going to love the fact that KAT's coming in, leading the world in everything. And if he does play, and I think he's going to outplay him. And I'm really excited because I think he's going to have less than half the ownership that Towns has, or even maybe less than that, maybe a third. And that will give me a big edge in some of my cash games. But I do love your Rocco take. I'm going to go with him too. He's been performing really well on the glass and getting all the periphery numbers. It's in Philly. I think the crowd will give him a warm welcome because he played really hard for them and he was with them when they stunk. And so I think they'll be really good to him. And I think he'll respond and put up some good numbers. So I have two main targets there that I'm going for with Rocco and Joel.
Hey, I'm not going to knock the Embiid call. It's Joel Embiid at the end of the day, and I know these guys have put up some pretty good games against each other in the past. So, we'll find out. We'll see who's smack talking who tomorrow night, and then hopefully this is going to be the difference maker. The winner goes up 3-2. So, I didn't really touch on the Sixers too much, and to be honest, I'm not overly excited about anybody on this team. When they're all healthy, it's a lot of minutes, it's a lot of distribution and usage that goes around and spread around amongst them all. So, we've been seeing Tobias Harris play great early on when Joel Embiid's healthy. He's getting a big chunk of the usage. Ben Simmons, with all these other scorers in their offense, adding Josh Richardson as well, he doesn't necessarily need to take shots. I know he never really wanted to, and he's never planning on it, but he doesn't need to really score. Most of his points are going to be transition dunks, fast break dunks, and the steals. So I'm not really overly excited when everyone's healthy because I'm not expecting these fat games, and it's hard for him just to get a triple double on any given night. He doesn't have that necessarily that urge to go get it like Westbrook. He has to fall into him. Always in play. He's a fair price where his average is just hitting what you're paying for him. So that's just not enough for me.
I don't blame you, man. I think that is a sensible evaluation. All right, let's go. Keep this moving. We're at a good pace today. We're getting really better on pace. The 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game should be a fantastic game to watch. Not sure if it's going to be a fantastic DFS game, though, because these two teams get down and get dirty. It's the big ESPN national televised game, which always makes me want to fade a little bit, but it's the Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics.
It's pretty simple for me in this one too. Again, I'm being picky. I got 11 games. I don't need to spread my ownership across all of these games. But we'll start with Milwaukee. I'm looking at Giannis. This is just a beautiful fit for him. There's nobody on the interior that could even come close to guarding Giannis on this team. He should just be able to have his way with them. I mean, we said the same thing the other night with the Cavs. So
but he really didn't get it done.
No, that's my point. There's always those times where they could easily defer the other options, but it's easy to defer, to Middleton, to Bledsoe, and to the other guys on this team when you're playing a team like the Cavs than when you're playing Boston, who's actually very good on the wings. They have very good wing defenders. So they're going to need to take advantage of Giannis on the interior more than they needed to against the Cavs. They can get away with just kind of deferring to other options because those guys can easily beat their matchups as well. I don't see that happening as much in this matchup. And when I look at the Celtics, it's, if you want to play a little Jason Tatum, sure. But if he's going to have any sort of Giannis on him, that's kind of a scary thing that, I can see him deferring. And I don't generally try to target, point guards, going against Eric Bledsoe. Yes, he's not playing a boatload of minutes right now because he's recovering. But George Hill, at his age, is still a very capable defender coming in after him as well. So that's my stance. I'm really just looking at Giannis in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's been sort of impossible to roster anybody in DFS for the last couple of games. I mean, Kemba's not in his groove. Brown's had some terrible games. Tatum's been up and down. Hayward's been up and down. They really don't have a center that's doing much of anything because Canner was out. And I mean, I don't like this Boston team right now at all, especially in DFS. There's just no value plays that you can feel comfortable, and really no reason whatsoever to go there in an 11 game slate. So it's definite pass for me there. I like Giannis again. I want to be able to put him in there. He's just so damn expensive, but I think that you're right. I think Boston doesn't have Horford in there anymore to anchor that defense. They really don't have a four that can match up with him whatsoever. So like you said, I don't know how they're going to guard him. and I think Boston keeps the game close. And so I'm going to probably fire up Giannis. I know it's means I'm going to have to find a couple value plays, but I think his ownership will be a little less than it was because everybody was sort of like me and a little pissed at his performance against Cleveland. So, this could be a spot. I made a bold prediction and said I thought he was going to have like 70 fantasy points or something, and he barely scratched like 38. So, I'm going to go back to the well here because, I think this will be one of the lower owned games. It's a good defensive matchup, and I think this is, a perfect spot where he could just go for one of his, 40 point, 17 rebound type games.
Yeah, that's what I'm envisioning. Maybe not, I don't know about 40 points. I would love to see that, but I do see like a big rebounding total, and that's kind of one of the things I look for when I want to play Giannis. Is he going to have one of those 15 plus rebounding games where all of a sudden you look in the defensive columns, he's got 3 blocks, 2 steals, or whatever, and all those add up quickly. And if he's playing all 4 quarters because the game's close, those are the games that they're most likely to happen in. So I'm going to have a good amount of shares of him.
Very good. All right, game 5, another 7:30 start. I just erased my board here where I had all my scores up there. How did I do that?
Control Z.
Yeah, I lost my sheet. There's another 7:30 game. What is it, buddy?
I got it right in front of me. 7:30 game. Well, there's actually 2 more, but we'll go to the next one on my board, which would be the Pacers versus the Nets.
Okay.
You want me to start off? You want me to?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll fire this up. I'll start off with the Pacers, and it's because one of my favorite plays of the slate is going to be on it, and I'm going to be looking towards Domantas Sabonis coach. I just, a lot of people know centers can generally crush the Nets. It's something that we always want to target.
Yep.
When I look at Miles Turner and I look at Domantas Sabonis, I think Sabonis just carries more upside, has a little bit of that safer floor. He's a little bit more aggressive on offense, so he's the guy I think that's going to take advantage of the matchup a little bit more than Miles Turner. So that's the way I want to go. I think he's still priced fairly at 14.5, leaves plenty of meat on the bone for us. And that's kind of that's all. I mean, Brogdon's been playing fantastic. I'm not going to tell you not to play him. Price is catching up just slightly, and you got to imagine some ownership gets drawn towards him in this kind of matchup. But those 2 guys would be my main interest. I don't really want to play any of the other guys on the wing, and like I said about Turner, no interest there. And as far as the Nets, not a lot of interest whatsoever from them. I think I'm going to fade Kyrie on this slate. Doesn't have anything to do with everything out in the news and all that, and I don't think his teammates are going to defer from him or anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to have anything to do with anything. It's just simply going to be a tough matchup for him, and Indiana's defense is pretty stout altogether. Where I try to not target too many teams facing them.
I agree. We're exactly on the same wavelength here. My pick in this game is Sabonis. Brooklyn is 30th out of 30 in the paint defense again with Allen, even though they picked up DeAndre Jordan. And Jordan's actually started the other night, but I think they're just desperate to try to get some interior defense. And Sabonis should just crush Kurucs or whoever, Torian Prince. There's just nobody's going to be able to stop him inside. I think he's going to have a monster game. I'm completely fading Kyrie here. Malcolm Brogdon is a lockdown defender, and Kyrie just has to regress at some point, and he's so point dependent that I don't want to go there at all. So this game's very simple for me. Sabonis is going to be one of my lock and load 100% plays, and I'm hoping Kyrie gets a bunch of ownership because I think he's going to have just an average game.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too. There's a lot of stars to choose from. So, even when we were talking about the big name centers on the board on FantasyDraft, we can get a couple shares of you could play Towns and Embiid if you want, but then you're missing out on the guys on the Rockets game. You're missing out on Giannis. You're missing out on the Kyries. So you're not going to really be able to get 3 of those guys in.
Right.
You're really looking at 2 stars if you want to play 2, and then because there's I want to play Sabonis. He's a middle tier guy. There's a couple other middle tier guys I think are underpriced that we'll get to a little bit later. So you gotta pick your spots, and this is a spot where I think we more often than not, we'll be better off kind of just avoiding the Kyrie Irving train.
No doubt. All right. The next game is Detroit Toronto. It is the last 7:30 game on the board, and I'm finally gonna to go against my. I've literally played Drummond every single slate since the regular season started because I've told you I always plug him in automatically when Griffin's out. But I am going to go against myself and probably regret it. But they're playing Toronto. Toronto's defense is really solid. Both of these teams' pace is low. I expect this to be a hard-fought game. My concern is Drummond may see some foul trouble here with some of the, real smart play of Marc Gasol inside and Siakam's ability to get to the rim. So I'm fading the Detroit guys in this game, and I just have a feeling that Toronto's gonna play well. The guy that I'm looking at for the first time this year is Lowry. He's been so solid, playing fantastic basketball. His usage is higher than it's ever been in his career. It's a lot of everybody wondered where's all the Kawhi usage going to go, and everybody just assumed it would all go to Siakam, but it's all mainly gone to Lowry and Van Vliet, and really been a surprise with that backcourt's playing. And I like Van Vliet as well. I'd like to play both of them, but I never do that, especially on a large slate like this. But Lowry's going to be plugged into a lot of my cash lineups, and I'll probably play Van Vliet in a couple of my GPPs. But other than that, that's all I'm going to look at in this game is the Toronto backcourt.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as that. At the end of the day, I think that's the best spot to target defensively. At the same time, I mean, the Pistons, Markieff Morris isn't known for his defense or anything like that, but Andre Drummond's actually been playing phenomenal defense this season.
Playing great everything.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants to earn his money. Board man gets paid, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to do that in a contract year. So I imagine that he's going to keep trying to go for those extra couple blocks and steals, taking a few more chances. And, that may equal a little bit of foul trouble here and there, but not generally a matchup that I'm looking overly excited in when it comes to targeting him. But I think with the Toronto backcourt going against Detroit, knowing that Reggie Jackson most likely is, doubtful, I believe, at this moment. Did he get rolled out yet? Do you know yet?
Doubtful, but not completely ruled. I doubt he's going to play.
Yeah, I think it's hard to imagine.
Hence doubtful.
Yeah. That's why you get paid the big bucks, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think these things through and dig deep.
It's expert analysis right there.
Exactly, sharp.
I think so. I think that's where I'm at with it too. I don't know if I'm going to end up on him. I always try to have like a little shell lineup built, or sometimes I build it while we're on the show. But I don't have him in there right as of now. But it's not saying I don't tinker with it, or maybe ends up in my third or fourth lineup. Meaning Lowry. I think I would play Lowry over Van Vliet.
Would you? Yeah. They're both capable of putting up some numbers, but I'm with you, man, completely. All right, we are 6 down, 5 to go. Quick mention sponsors, just real quickly again. I am personally challenging every listener here to get on that Coach's Challenge Coach's Challenge contest tomorrow. I want to see who's going to step up if we're going to have our defending champion be able to get it done 2 in a row, and who's going to get it done. Great cash prizes. Again, no rake. Everything that goes into it comes out, plus the free swag. So get in that. Get on FantasyDraft. Get in that 30,000 pick and roll, the $7,500 layup, which is only $5, and then our Coach's Challenge is only $2. If you only need one entry, one bullet to take it down, just $2. Get in there, see what you got. Also, again, we just love the fact that we're getting more sponsors. Our growth has been amazing. And Manscaped.com, MyBookie.ag, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. We just love their support as well. I was looking at one thing today, Michael, and I don't know if you know this, but and I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I was looking at downloads and activity for DFS shows, and there's a couple of shows out there I'm not going to mention that have consistently done very well, and they're much larger than us right now, but we're going to catch them. But as far as growth goes, we are the fastest growing NBA DFS show in the podcast world right now. So we got a lot of them to catch, but considering we're only a week and a half in and we're the fastest growing, that's some pretty good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all due to our listeners, man. And we say it every show. Thank you guys for hitting those thumbs up buttons, those reviews, telling your friends. This is the one thing my buddies always say, like, dude, how are you not bigger? You know your stuff. You've won me so much money, all this, and that. I'm like, well, the secret is that with good DFS knowledge or good fantasy knowledge in general, is people want to keep it a secret. You find that little nugget of information you don't want to tell your friends. You want to have that edge. So we do appreciate those who do retweet and share and spread it, because it's not easy to get the word around if we're doing the right thing. And no one's going to share your stuff if you're doing the wrong thing either. So thank you guys. We wouldn't be here without you. We're going to keep grinding. We're going to keep getting this show better and better. You hear Coach say it. We're trying to go a little bit quicker every show now. So we're doing it. We're trying to cater. Eventually, we're going to have some premier sound equipment all set up. This is the real deal, Coach. We knew this was going to take off at the end of the day. We know each other. We knew we had the confidence. We're both pretty, good work ethic kind of guys. So we're just got to keep the grind.
It's awesome, man. It's humbling, though. I mean, we believed it. We knew it could go in this direction, but I think it's just all happening a lot faster than we had anticipated. But like Mike said, I know everybody wants to get the edge. They don't want anybody else to sort of hear some of the info. But you got to remember, in the great scheme of things, let your friends and buddies and guys that you're in leagues with and stuff, let them know about the show, because there's thousands and thousands of people playing on these DFS sites, and the group that's listening to this show isn't going to move the needle at all as far as ownership and all of those things. So keep it. It's nice to be able to and sometimes these shows like this, they start conversations. If you have a couple of your buddies that are in your year-long league and you let them know about the show and they listen in, sparks some hey, who do you like in their chicken soup challenge thing? Embiid, is it Towns? Chit chat, and that's sort of how you figure out how to build a lineup at the end of the day. We don't give out complete lineups here, because we want you to take all of this information we're giving you, digest it, look at it, figure out what makes sense, follow the news the next day for any injuries or change. And now you've got a good solid base to build your lineup on, but we want it to be exclusive to what you're doing. So, we could easily say, okay, here's your fantasy draft lineup, boom, 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 boom. We're not a service like that. We're here to break it down, look at it as coaches and players, and really help you build your team, but let it be your team. So again, thank you for joining in. Keep spreading the word. Keep jumping in this coaches challenge. I think this sucker's going to max out in a couple of weeks here. So jump on it while you can, and it's great stuff. And like Mike said, the 5 stars, the likes, when you rate, review, subscribe, all of those positive reviews, everything is just really helping. We've got several hundred reviews, and we've never had any thumbs down or negative things. We finally did get one negative thing, and it was because our audio on one of our shows was a little jacked up. So I completely understand that. We've done some repairs to that right now, and as you can tell, these last few shows have been very crisp. But we're upgrading all of this. Dan Best Respect at Hoopball is producing it all, and we're going to get it better and better and better every week. So we want to just keep all of the positive feedback coming in. And remember, we're pushed out by Red Circle. You can listen to us everywhere that podcasts are heard. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere. So just plug in there DFS today. I'm sorry, Hoop Ball DFS today. You don't even have to put the NBA part in, and we're generally going to be the first thing that comes up. So keep listening. Let's keep growing, and we're gonna keep making everybody money. We're on a hell of a streak. We've through the preseason and the regular season, the base lineups that we've brought forward and that we're playing, we're somewhere in the like 14-3 or 13-4, or somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on specifically the way you built it. But if you can do that throughout the year, 14-3 or whatever, in chunks throughout the season, you're going to make a lot of DFS money for damn sure. So great stuff, man, and we really appreciate it. Let's keep it growing, and let's fire through these last 5 games. This next game is very exciting to me because here's the strangest stat in the world. Last year, the Houston Rockets were 28th in the league in pace because it was Harden, bing, 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 bing. Now they add Westbrook. You think he's had an impact? Guess who's number 1 in pace in the league, Mike?
I'm going to go with the Houston Rockets.
Bingo. You are the winner. They are the number 1 pace in the league, and thanks to Russell Westbrook. That goes to show you the impact one guy can have on a starting 5. Just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is like one of those kind of matchups where we could see them use that pace to their advantage against a Wizards team that's pretty porous defensively.
Definitely.
And they are 2 of the most expensive guys on the slate, so we'll just get out of the way and talk about it. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, both of them are very much in play. As of right now, it's you got to give Harden the odds of scoring more. Hitting the 40-point games and the 50-point games are still in his arsenal. But a lot of it looks like the triple-double upside is in Westbrook's arsenal this season. I'm not really thinking, we all kind of anticipated that was just going to go away. This is the last season where he's ever going to average it. I don't necessarily think he's going to average a triple-double, but I still think that he can get them, maybe 2 out of every 5 games.
No doubt.
So this is a game that I think I'm going to be a little bit on the Westbrook bandwagon. Also taking advantage of, Isaiah Thomas is going to be on the court at some points, and that's something that played 19 minutes last game, so he can easily get 19 minutes of them, and that would only bode very well for him. And the other option I'm really looking at would be PJ Tucker as a value play. He's nice price. He's really been just hitting strides this season, doing his thing. His D&3, sit in the corner, knock down shots, and then get back defensively. So those are the main guys I'm looking at. I know that we have Daniel House for value, and Clint Capella's been playing well. I don't think that I'm going to go there with the other options that we have available for similar price tags.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's my only concern in this game is, will it be a blowout or not? I don't think it will, just because Houston's coming off that emotional game against Oklahoma City. Everybody was so keyed up and fired up and for that game, and it was a close game. So I think they'll have a little letdown as far as a team effort goes, and I think the game, will stay a little bit within reason, and it's in Washington. And if it does, if you don't look at Harden and Westbrook, certainly you can't. On this kind of slate, you can't afford both of them, but you got to play one of them. I can't see a cash or GPP lineup that doesn't either have Harden or Westbrook, one of them in it. They're going to just run Washington off the floor. I've watched NBA basketball for 40 years, and I love the guy, but I think one of the maybe 5 worst defensive point guards I've seen in 40 years is Isaiah Thomas. He can't guard anybody, and he's got to try to guard Westbrook or Harden. Probably Westbrook, but unless they try to hide him on a wing, maybe they'll have him go just stand there with Tucker. But I don't know what they're going to do. But there's no way that they're going to be able to defend this team. And, Houston should just roll. And I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to use Westbrook or Harden. I'm leaning towards Westbrook, actually, because he's a little bit cheaper than Harden. But I think that is just a no-brainer. I think they'll have a lot of ownership and they're going to deserve it. Washington also, to me, they're in play. This is going to be the first time that I go to the Bradley Beal wagon, and I'll tell you why. It's pace of play. Washington's 15th, which isn't bad. That's better than they were. And Houston's the fastest team right now. So there's more possessions. They're playing at a 113.8 pace, which is really significant. And that's going to give Bradley a bunch of more opportunities. He tends to rise to the occasion when he plays against good opponents. And I think he'll be trading buckets with Harden and Westbrook all night long. And, again, those guys aren't great. Well, Westbrook's a good defender, but Harden's not. So I'm, depending on how they try to stop Beal, I don't know if they'll try to throw Tucker on him a little bit, but I think he's just, I think he's going to get his regardless. So, two of my key plays will come out of this game, and a lot of my salary will be soaked up here. And I'm leaning towards Westbrook and Beal being that combination. I like that combo of having one guy on each team on a game that I think is going to be paced up. But really, that's it. For Washington, it's hard to play anybody else from their squad at all. Please don't play Isaiah Thomas in a limited role. And there's just, the rest of their guys are just all chipping in. But, Beal's one of the higher usage guys in the league. He's still just playing average. I think he hasn't stepped it up a notch, but I think this is the game that he does it, and I want to be on him when he does.
Coach, I'd be lying if part of me didn't say I want to take a stab at Isaiah Thomas in his GPP.
No!
It piques my interest a little bit, just seeing his, how his usage and just that limited role when he first came back. And this isn't a guy that tore his knee or anything like that. He had to get a little bit of thumb surgery, just a little thumb surgery. But he looks like he's dribbling and shooting just fine. And if he's gonna see anywhere, 19 minutes is what he played last game. If he plays 22 or 24, yes, they're gonna get smoked defensively. But this team also needs scoring. Bradley Beal is basically shouldering a lot of the load over here. They're not getting much help from Ish Smith. Rui's doing as much as he could as a rookie. Thomas Bryant, not really known for his offensive game, very limited offensive, trying to stretch the floor a little bit more this season. And then they have Bonga and then Bertans, and now they're getting Troy Daniels back, kind of mingling around on the wing. But otherwise, they're very, very desperate for scoring. So if they find themselves just trailing points, and they're already down 15 points, it doesn't make sense not to play him. So he might even see a little of extended run here and there. So I'm not trying to talk too much about him at the end of the day, because like I said, very, very just peak interest, the GPP 1 out of every 10 lineups kind of thing. But I did look at him. He's probably one of my the second favorite play I would have on that team next to Beal. I don't really have trust in anybody else, so I'd rather take a stab at paying $7,800 for a guy like Thomas.
Are you drinking alcohol right now?
No. I didn't hit the bar cart. This is something I really would have had a lot of interest in him if he just started the year as the opening day starter, because I think he was projected to come out in like a 25 to 26 kind of minute role. So he was projected to be the starter until he got hurt, and that's when they kind of had no choice but to play Ish Smith. But I think this is who they want to be in their starting lineup next to Beal. So I think.
Well, I'll tell you, if we can find anybody else on this card that is going to play 20 to 25 minutes as a guard, I don't care who it is, I'll take him against Isaiah for a second challenge if we can find a guy remaining in this group, because I just don't see it, dude. But hey, more power to you. Who am I to try? I already called him one of the worst defensive players in the history of the game, so I can't quadruple jinx myself into him dropping like 30 any more than that. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We will see.
Hey, like I said, stab in the dark, GPP. I would have bet my house on it. You were talking about another chicken soup bet. I like that, at least keep it somewhat fair in these chicken soups. I think a couple of them I took out were a little lopsided already. But if you find the right guy, it's hard for me to say no. So
I'll tell you this: it's too damn bad that Utah's not. Oh, they are playing. How about this? I'll quadruple challenge you here and just jinx the living daylights out of you, and take Conley against Isaiah.
No.
Wouldn't that be funny for you to get double crossed by Conley?
Well, no,
The
I know
dude's
he
shooting
should.
0.000%.
Yeah, and again, listen, and we're seeing that price tag drop and drop and drop. Now we're looking at him come in, and we could just, we can't really just jump to the game. We have the Thunder, Blazers to get to, but 12-1 is an enticing price for a guy like Mike Conley. It's not a great matchup and all this, and that, but eventually he's got to break this slump. I'm not saying I'm going to go there tonight.
Against the Clippers and Patrick
Well, that's
Beverly?
Exactly it. It may not
Good
be. It may not be
God.
tonight, and I actually hope it's not tonight because if he puts up another stinker, we might even see a drop. If it gets anywhere below like 11-8 to 11-5 for a guy like that, we eventually just have to jump on that.
You
So
have
I'm
to at some
hoping for a
point.
bad game tonight. That way we can take advantage of it during their next game or two.
I don't blame you. All right, well let's get on to the final 8 o'clock Eastern game. The Portland Trail Blazers and Thunder. It's at Oklahoma City. Two teams coming off a couple of intense games. Portland's on a rough road trip here, and this should be an interesting game.
Definitely. I think when you're looking at the Blazers, there's the two main pieces. Obviously, looking at Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. I think McCollum just had his big game, so I think he's just a pretty easy fade for me. And knowing that he's going to have a good amount of shea on him, very long, good defender. So I'm okay with just not going there. Lillard, I think, is always just an option because we know his upside. He kind of gets up in these games too against another Western Conference team, going against a guy like Chris Paul. Has the makings of him just having a big game. But other than that, I think we can kind of go back to the value of Zach Collins sitting out if we really need to. With Mario Hezonja played decent minutes, got some good run, just got us there. I think he got about 20 fantasy points, so just got us the value. But he has the upside in tournaments to put up these fantastic games, and he's pretty much blowout proof on whatever side of the ball, whether they're losing or winning. So he's always an option for me. And looking at the Thunder, right now from what I'm seeing, Steven Adams is questionable. Maybe you can help me out here, Coach. Am I wrong with this, or is he?
I believe that he's questionable to probable, so that's something we got to keep an eye out for sure.
Yeah, and if he's out, I think you can definitely look at Nerlens Noel, just a guy that should immediately go right into the starting lineup. I wouldn't expect massive minutes, but he's a great point per minute producer, can get it done defensively, get rebounds, lobs, a lot of the other such. Kind of matches up pretty well against Whiteside too, so I think that's one of the main spots I'd go. The Shea train, I hopped off, I think, the last game at the right time. He kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
He could easily heat right back up. I wouldn't be shocked. It's nice to see his price tag go down a little bit from where it was. I think he dropped a few $100s, so he does pique my interest a little bit, but I don't think we really need to go there. I think Gallinari would probably be my secondary option if I'm looking. Like, it would be Noel if Adams sits, but then I think Danilo Gallinari, he just always flies under the radar. 12-8 is a nice fair price for him, and he has the scoring upside, but he quietly puts up decent rebounds. Ignore the Golden State game where he had that one rebound game, but he could quietly get you 20-7, 20-8, 20-9, a couple defensive stats randomly here and there, but he's just always flying under the radar. This is a good matchup for him. They don't really have anybody that can guard him with Zach Collins being out now. Gallinari is a 7-footer pretty much. People forget about that when they look at him. So it's gonna be tough, and if it is Hezonja, we know that we've seen Hezonja get crossed up plenty of times on the Knicks. He can't stick with anybody.
No, that's for sure. Well, I'm gonna throw some tough love at these Portland Trailblazers because, man, I watched the last couple of games, and first of all, if I ever say that I'm gonna roster Hassan Whiteside, please intervene. Like when somebody's on drugs and you have to do an intervention, take me aside and explain to me that Hassan Whiteside is like one of the worst players and most inconsistent, bizarre dudes that laces them up. Because I watched some of his play and it just, he baffles me, dude. He's awful.
He's a head case. At the end of the day, a lot of, and I was actually thinking about this the other night, and this would probably take a lot of compiled research and data and a lot of figuring it out. But I think it would be something that a worthwhile article to maybe invest in one day. And I almost don't even want to say it because it's I want to keep it locked up in the noodle. But just to see, how fast somebody draws a defensive foul after they get an offensive foul. Because a lot of the
Yeah.
times I think just the emotion gets forgot about when that kind of stuff happens. People get frustrated in the moment. All of a sudden they run back in and they try to get a hard defensive end foul. So, when that kind of stuff happens, we see guys like Whiteside, who are very emotional players, come out of their element very fast. All of a sudden they have 3 fouls 4 minutes into the game. And your lineups are sunk at that point. There's no real coming back from that because now he's looking at like 24, 25 minutes tops.
No doubt. To finish I'm going to go on this a little Portland Trailblazers rant here because I watched them play like 2 full games somehow. I don't know why I did that to myself, but Whiteside is horrific. Collins is out with a dislocated shoulder. They've been playing Anthony Tolliver, that I believe is approaching my age. Mario Hezonja sucks. Skal Labissiere plays a very small amount of minutes. Rodney Hood has little tiny stretches where he'll hit 3 or 4 shots in a row. Other than that, he's terrible. Kent Bazemore, if you roster him in DFS, you're crazy because he doesn't do a damn thing except maybe get 3 or 4 steals, and everybody wants to throw a party because he gets 3 or 4 steals. But he doesn't do anything else. And I'm telling you right now, Portland stinks. Lillard and McCollum are fantastic. You can fire them up every night if you wanted to, and they're going to get it done. But I would not give you a plug nickel for another player on that damn team, and don't waste your salary on Portland. How's that for a hot take?
All right, you gotta take off the headset, take a walk around the room real quick, come back.
Take a little sip of my soda here and breathe a little bit. But other than that, I don't have a real strong opinion on Portland. But
other than that, yeah, I think we're ready to move on.
And then the Thunder side, I'm taking my man Shea. I know I'm this Shea fanatic. All of a sudden, I've somehow turned into the card-carrying member of the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander fan club, but I just love the guy, and I think he's a great matchup here. I don't think Lillard and McCollum are exactly defensive specialists, and I like his size. I didn't take him the last game because I knew he would take a back seat to all the shit that was going on with that game, the motions with Westbrook and Harden and CP3 and all that stuff. So I knew that he would sort of take that game off a little, but this game is back in Oklahoma City. He's the best player on the team. Adams is questionable. I love Shea in this matchup. He's 100% plug and play at what I think is a damn reasonable price.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Now that we have that depressed salary, I could definitely take into that account and definitely put him into my player pool for that reason. When he was getting up there around that, I think he was at like 13-3 or 13-1. You really have to think about it.
He did get up there, but he's back down. Reasonable.
It's that, and that's the thing. It is reasonable, and that's the best way to describe it. It's nothing that's great. It's not going to be like a plug and play for me. But if I fall on him and I have that much money left over, I wouldn't be upset.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate you giving a little love there for sure. And obviously, you're not going to step out after my tirade with any Trailblazer love for sure. All right, 3 games left. We have 3 late games: Clippers and Jazz in the all defensive, bone crunching. Utah's 29th in the league again. Clippers are 24th in pace. Defensive struggle with 2 teams, lowest over-under on the entire slate. I'm just going to let you take this game because I pass.
Let's just go on to the next game. Very easy for me. If you want to play Conley, be my guest. But the salary made me think about it for a second. But then, like you said, the Pat Bev thing, and let's just hope for another bad one, and we'll get him for like 11-4 the next time. Perfect.
That's the fastest we've ever done on a game, even in the preseason. So it goes to show you right there if that's not an indication for you to fade. All right, 2 games left. Charlotte Hornets at the Sacramento Kings. A little interest in this game. It should be some up and down and some bizarre teams here getting after it. What do you think about this game?
So we'll start with Sacramento, and I think we have to, everybody's going to have some interest, and we got to start with the hoopball fan favorite, Rashawn Holmes. No other than the founding father here, Aaron Brewski, has been touting Rashawn Holmes for about 3-4 seasons. As long as I've been here for about 3 seasons, I believe now. And for as long as I've been here, it's been Rashawn Holmes in just about every single article I've read, and he's right on. And it's crazy. He's the one tout that I see that really touted him at the end of the day. The one tout that touted. So I think we can look at him. The minutes for their last game, I wouldn't expect necessarily the same workload because it is a volatile situation. They have plenty of options that they can go to. But he definitely showed that he earned some minutes in a valuable role. So I think he's underpriced at 8,700. He's going to probably be one of my favorite value plays on the board. I'm sure you're there with me. And for every other king, honestly, I'm not that interested. I don't want to really mess with the wings. I think we have some other guard options that we've talked about already, a couple more that we'll get to in the last game of the night. De'Aaron Fox, it just looks like he's kind of been struggling a little bit. Maybe it's a nagging injury.
He's not healthy.
Yeah. I think.
What happened to Buddy Hield, though? Good God. He's gone in the toilet.
And he's a shooter, and that's at the end of the day, you gotta focus on some of the things. When these shooters get in slumps, they struggle everywhere else because when they're not knocking down shots for 2-3 games in a row, other defenses keying on that, and they're gonna challenge him. They're gonna say, I'll take that extra step once you knock 2 of them down in my face. So until he can get out of this slump, a lot of teams are going to kind of just let him have his shots and challenge him more at the rim and take away the easy passes from him and make things difficult in those ways. So I'm okay with just kind of avoiding him. He's kind of in that Conley boat for me, where he's eventually going to have that blow up game, and hopefully you can grab on that night because he's going to have very low ownership until he does, and then we're going to see that price tag kind of get up there where it should be.
No doubt about it. Well, yeah, I was also going to give a shout out to our founder at Hoopball, and really, if it wasn't for him, none of us would be here doing this stuff for sure. But he's been a Rashawn Holmes guy since day one, and man, he looked like a genius that last game. And there's no reason to believe as long as Bagley's still out. Now, I will give one small warning. I read that Giles might be back for this game in a limited role, but that will cut into a little bit of Holmes' action. So keep an eye on that news tomorrow. But Holmes certainly is a value play here without any question. I don't trust Fox with the health issue. Hield's just in too much of a slump. So, I don't have a lot of interest really on the Sacramento side of the ball. On Charlotte's side, they're on that West Coast trip. They're a super young team. I think they're starting to, feel that punch in the chops of, all being on this long West Coast road trip. They're still trying to, get some continuity on that team. But they do have some value guys that make sense. PJ Washington is sort of quietly, sort of sunk down back in the pricing again. Rozier is splitting with Graham, but Rozier's playing some 2 now. And, I've seen them slide everybody over and play Bridges at the 4. So they're still figuring it out. But they do have guys, in certain matchups that can do well. And certainly, Sacramento isn't one of the best defensive teams in the league. There's no doubt about it. So you may want to give a value play. I got to ask my son, how are the Mavs doing, son?
3-point game with 40 seconds.
3 up or down? Oh, Mavs are beating Denver by 3 with 40 seconds left. How awesome is that, dude?
I was actually, keeping it a secret because generally like to kind of find out all the news after we finish the show. But yeah, I've been flashing back and forth of that, definitely.
I knew when my son made it over to take a look, I figured it was coming down to the wire, and that'd be such a nice win for them if they can get to Denver. And because they started out that game terrible. I watched the first quarter; they were down like 15 right off the bat. So
it's a typical Mavs game too, Coach. It's the most un-DFS friendly game. 9 players in double figures right now for the team. So
Luka didn't get it done tonight?
Now nobody can get it done. I mean, the leading scorer is 14 points, two people tied for it, and it's Hardaway Jr. and Kleber. So
Wow.
bench mob kind of pulling him back in there.
I'll tell you, Carlisle, I love him, and I'll always love him. He's a champ and everything, but he baffles me, dude. I was, I watching them come out to start the game, and of course it was Porzingis and Doncic, but then the three guys were new again. He went with a whole different three guys in this starting rotation. It's just so bizarre. He keeps. I mean, it's not like he's switching and playing one guy. Like Seth Curry was a key guy. He started tonight, which was like, okay, he hadn't been getting in early on at all. DeLon Wright, since he's been playing better, he isn't starting again. Powell was back today. Finney Smith got a start this time. Kleber was put back on the bench. So I don't know. Carlisle is one of the biggest tinkerers. I think he thinks it's a DFS team or a roto team, and he tinkers with the lineup like crazy all the time. But it goes to what we've been saying all along. You can take Porzingis, you can take Luka, but you really can't take anybody else because you don't know what the hell Carlisle's ever going to do.
Absolutely. And we are Mavs hometown favorites over here. You actually live in the Dallas area over there. I don't. I'm over here in Connecticut. So, it's funny that we end up on the same show. We're both Mavs fans, and we could talk Mavs all day, Coach.
I know.
We even we got to get this slate down, man.
They're not even on this slate. I know. I'm sorry. All right, we only have one game left. It's the Phoenix.
Well, one thing before we pass on from the Hornets, I want to mention one player, and it's Cody Zeller. He's been absolutely smashing. I do have a little bit of interest, not like a plug and play for me, but at 12-1 on FantasyDraft, I think there's some meat left on the bone, especially knowing that there is some front court issues going on for the Kings. His role looks like it's pretty secure around that 30-minute mark. The only other player that's playing center for him is going to be Bismack Biyombo. And I'm not really ever worried about Bismack taking minutes from anybody. So I think he's an option.
I agree with you. And I think he's a better play than our Andrew Hansen of taking Tyler Zeller. Ooh, another little zing. All right, we go to the last game, 10:30 p.m., Phoenix Suns, Golden State Warriors. This should be a barn burner, up and down. Interesting, no defense. Both teams can't stop anybody defensively. I would think this game's going to be a late night hammer that a lot of people are going to jump on as far as rostering. I mean, you've got Golden State and Phoenix in the top 13 pace teams, and neither team has been able to really stop anybody to this point. So who are you loading up here, buddy?
I'm loading up on a lot of people from this game. Just like you said, it's going to be a great game for DFS content, late game hammer. But one of my favorite plays, I think, on the board is going to be Devin Booker. Just 14-4 is just way too cheap for this guy. He played down minutes in that game against the Jazz. Very, very tight game. 1 point loss. This Phoenix team looks great. They've been riding on the back of his offense. So they're going to need him without Ayton. And I just think that, looking for comparison's sake, Bradley Beal being a guy that's like 2K more than him. Yes, Bradley Beal is probably, a better, more reliable, option on a night-to-night basis. But you can't say that they both don't have very similar upside. If not, Booker's can sometimes even be higher. And for 2,000 less, that's something, especially in this kind of matchup.
Beal against Booker. You got Booker against Golden State, the worst defensive team in the league.
Point per dollar, I'll take Booker. Overall points, I still think Beal can beat him. Don't get me wrong, but I think that $2,000 savings. At the end of the day, when we have an 11-game slate with all these studs, and when you have 11 games, it leaves more value open. We have 11 games.
You're starting to get a little gun shy here. I'm sensing a little earning of the chicken suit here. Starting to tighten up the old, what? Here.
I don't just come out saying, all right, you like Bogdanovich, so I'll take Beal. How's that?
No, come on, that's not fair. Booker and Beal is close, but okay. I'll let you go on that one. I just want to
We'll
offer.
stick with one for the night. We have plenty of nights to get going. I don't need to find myself chasing 2 points after.
I've seen lots of guys run scared. I get it. It's okay.
You're trying to bait me into this, Coach. It's not going to
No,
work. It's
no,
not
no,
going to
no.
work. And that's, I mean, looking at the other options over there, I think Saric and Kaminsky are both in play. Kaminsky should continue to draw some pretty fair ownership. We're seeing the price boost. Saric actually dip in price. He's only $9K on FantasyDraft. I love that price for him.
Garbage though.
Now, last game, I think a lot of the starters kind of saw limited minutes. It was a tough matchup against a Jazz team. But if you look at the game prior to that, he was plus 30 minutes. He doubled. Was a great fantasy option. And at the end of the day, this team needs a little bit of offense, and I think a lot of that is going to come from. It's not going to come from Rubio. It's not going to come from Aaron Baines in the starting lineup. So it's mostly going to be Oubre, Saric, and Booker. Those are going to be the guys I continue to focus on, and then looking at Frank the Tank off the bench as another option. But I kind of like Saric a little bit more, just knowing that he'll probably have a lower ownership and he's much cheaper.
Not bad. I don't like the fact that Frank the Tank's price went up so much. It's sort of ridiculous, but it is what it is. But I wish I had the salary to put Curry on there. If I decide to chicken out on Westbrook, I would probably pivot to Curry because I certainly would love to play him in this game. But I'm going to keep that into consideration. I may at least do that pivot in one GPP anyway. But I certainly like Curry in this game. I think he'll have a very solid game without question. On the Phoenix side, I get your Booker take there. Certainly, usage is going to be way up there. I'll tell you who my value guy is in this game, though. Believe it or not, it's Aaron Baines. I like the way his minutes restriction's been eliminated. He's playing hard. Golden State doesn't really have a center. I just think Baines could put up a little double-double at a super cheap price and be a guy to round out your value. So very bizarre on a 22-team, 11-game slate to finish my, recommendations with Mr. Aaron Baines. But again, we're in a salary world. We can't just say the best player on every team every game. So that's just sort of where I'd look, I think, for a cheap guy.
Yeah, all right. How about we do Sabonis versus Aaron Baines then? How's that sound? Yeah.
Sabonis. Oh, you're being an A double HOLLE. But that's okay, dude. It's all right.
Yeah.
Maybe we could combine guys. No, we're sticking with Embiid versus KAT. That's the feature of the night. And then we'll let you grow another setback to start accepting some of these challenges for our next show. And then we'll get back at it, dude. But all right, listen, don't forget, we mention this every time, but it's extremely critical. We do this show the night before. We put everything out there. We want you to be able to listen to it at work, on your break, at lunchtime, whatever, or at work when he's supposed to be working like Mike does. We don't want to let his boss know. But when, we want you to make sure to tune in to hoop-ball.com, go to the forums, go to the DFS thread. Our guys, Miles and Andy, are constantly updating great stuff there. I'm always throwing stuff on there as well. Jump on Twitter. Follow us throughout the day at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi, at Micah Patria, MikeApotria, at Language Olympic, and at Hoopball Fantasy. That's where you'll see all our blurbs, our writers, and everybody putting everything up there. So follow the moves. Those, one guy being restricted or sitting can shift your build. So pay attention to that all the way up to lock tomorrow. And, I think we're good to go, dude. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
No, I mean, I think that's it. Load up on these games with high totals, monitor the news like Coach said, and rate and review us, and I think we're all good to go.
And, the last thing, again, direct challenge from me, Coach's Challenge tomorrow. Get in there. It's $2. You're guaranteed to beat Apotria. If you can take a shot at me and Mr. Language Olympic, that's probably your best target, and then we see where we go from there. But get in there. It's going to be fun tomorrow. I won't be on tomorrow's show. It's going to be Andrew and Mike, so you get 1 and 1A as far as the rankings of the Sharks on this team. So I'm sure tomorrow will be a great show. And
did we switch it around, Coach, or are you losing your mind again with the schedule?
No, actually, Andrew's taking Wednesday now. I'm doing so many multiple shows here. I want to stay sharp. So Andrew's actually going to do back-to-back shows with you on Wednesday and Thursday, and I'm going to do the other 5 nights. So,
all right.
I'm going to have 2 nights in a row where I'm focusing on. I just want to stay crisp. I don't want to.
I get it. The old age, you forget stuff. That's why I assumed you just forgot the schedule again. I know the first thing you do in the morning is you kind of gotta check to see what day it is, what month it is, what year it is. Go back over to your counter with one of those the containers on your counter, the pill containers that say Sunday through Saturday.
Yes, I have that as well, sir. I do.
I know.
But just as a quick reminder, how did we finish? I believe I beat your ASS in the Coach's Challenge last week. I think I won the last Chicken Suit Challenge.
Would you beat by like 0.75 points in that contest or something?
Is a win a win, or does it make a difference?
Listen,
win, it's a 1-0 versus 0-1, sir.
It's like Ricky Bobby would say, if you ain't first, you're last. So, whether I'm 37th or 38th, I consider it a loss in both of our books at the end of the day. I think Andrew was the only winner on this podcast, finishing in the top 5. So I think we're both chasing his coattails right now. But yeah, you know what? While I'm sitting and climbing up there, I'll step on you on my way up.
Try to bury the lead. That's okay. I know you saved all this up for the end to try to get a little frosty, but it's okay. The listeners know that experience and knowledge sometimes does come with age. So hey. I'm just saying, buddy. Let's see what you got. Let's see when I come back here in a couple days on the show with you. Hopefully, we've got a bunch of bragging rights to take place, buddy.
Yep, and we'll end it on a high note that, just checked my Twitter updates and Anthony Davis with a trip to the locker room, just like we spoke about early on. So.
Are you serious?
Yes. I don't know what it is. I don't know how bad. Might just be a bump. Might just be, whatever it is.
How is it possible that he gets hurt every damn game? It's unbelievable. What a wuss.
You treat him with kid gloves, I guess, but
that's crazy, dude. All right, man. Well, I think we have filled it up tonight. Great show. I know we do a lot of kidding and jabbing, but I love you, man. You do a great job. I love doing every show with you, and look forward to us continuing to just get it done all season long for our viewers.
No doubt. All love, Coach. All love.
All right, buddy. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us for Hoopball NBA DFS today. For my man, Mike Apotria, I'm Coach. We will catch you again tomorrow. Well, those boys will catch you again tomorrow, but we'll all be with you in thought. Keep looking us up on Twitter, and we'll look to crush it again on another day of NBA DFS.
Curly fries for the win.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.